This is tunnel vision. From planet to planet, solar system to solar system, from galaxy to galaxy.
The factory service manual states that the stock fuel pressure is between 42 and 45 psi.
Aftermarket regulators usually have a lock nut and an adjusting screw. So all I'd have to do is loosen that up and stick an Allen wrench down in here and adjust the fuel pressure while I have this vacuum line pulled. Once you pull this off, you stick your thumb over it, and with the engine running, you set your fuel pressure, and then you put your vacuum line back on after you've locked everything down, and you're done. Now, among other things, I've got a couple of stock fuel rails up here. I've got a couple of 1G fuel rails and a 2G fuel rail. You can see there's the fuel return line, and this is a vacuum nipple. If you pull the hose off the vacuum nipple and there's any wetness or fuel in there, or there's fuel pouring out of it, you got a bad regulator. The diaphragm's torn and it's just blowing fuel pressure past that. That can also end up with all kinds of other idle problems, because it's filling your intake manifold with gas. And now on to the ISC motor. Now what we're going to do with this is we're going to warm the car up to operating temperature, and I'm going to use DSMlink to log two values, ISC position and learned idle offset. The ISC position, we want it to settle right around 30. Right at 30 if we can do it. And we do this by using a big screwdriver and adjusting the bisque screw while the car is warmed up and we're watching these values. I've got my idle speed set to 750 RPMs, and I'm going to turn the bisque screw over here until this value settles at 30. Unless you have means of monitoring this, don't turn on this bisque screw to change your idle speed, because it's directly responsible for the range that the ISC motor operates in. You can see right now we're at 9. I want to close this down so that the idle speed motor opens up more. Wake that back up again. If you're ever looking for information about what your engine requires, there's a lot of great stuff here on your hood. And there you go, ignition timing, 5 degrees before top dead center. Regarding the use of the timing light, this is a pretty simple device. Basically, you just plug it onto the battery. You have one for the positive terminal, one for the negative, and then you want to put that on the number 1 plug wire. And it senses the electromagnetic current flowing through and picks it up in that coil right there. That coil transfers the signal to this gun, which steps it up and uses the battery voltage to fire a beam of light into the engine bay at the frequency that that pulses. So I've relocated my battery, and in order for me to get power, there's another circuit I can connect to here. First I take the ground and I run it to the original factory ground. Just clamp it to that bolt. And for power, I just attach to the main power relay on the back side that goes to the battery, and that completes that circuit. Now, I'm running coil on plug, so I don't have spark plug wires, and in order to get the number 1 signal, the signal from number 1, I can't connect it to this thing anywhere and actually have that function. So what I do is I just clamp this coil here, just clamp this over the power wire that comes from the Dynatec Arc 2 box, and it goes to all of the coils. Now, unfortunately, because this ignition fires twice per revolution, I'm getting the number 1 and the number 1 and 3 and the number 2 and 4 sparks. So whenever spark fires on those twice per revolution, it lights up the crank pulley, and I can see that mark lit up to show me where I am in my timing. That's the 0 degree mark. And you see there's a 5 degree mark there, a 10 degree mark there, and a 15 degree mark there. So that's what you want to shine the light on. There's a mark on that pulley that spins around. You can kind of see it right there. In order to set the base timing, you want to first ground the timing. That is 5 degrees, full top dead center. So my base timing is correct, and I'm lucky. On a 2G car, if you wind up having to adjust the timing, if your timing is out, a 95 to 96 model has a cam angle sensor that's behind the intake cam pulley, which makes it a major pain in the butt to make adjustments. There's 2 lock nuts or lock bolts on it, and you loosen those up and slide the cam angle sensor in order to adjust the ignition timing. And it's got a magnet inside of a ring on this. It creates a magnetic wave when it rotates around, and it recognizes by the pulse of the opening in that ring what the cam position is. So adjusting that sensor changes the rotation point on the engine where it fires the ignition. On a 1G car, you get a cam angle sensor on this side, and there's a couple of bolts that you loosen up that allow you to rotate it and adjust its timing. I think it's up to 3 degrees. I might be wrong on that.
We switch you to Earth. Come in, please. Uncensored. Copy, Skywatch, clear. Another public service message from way out. We care about your world. Stay tuned.